Move over twice.
Okay, now we're good. Now we're recording on all things except for I guess.
Don't be cold as ice.
Also, this phone, new phone, is super nice.
New phone, who this?
I'm a big fan. The camera's crazy.
Crazy.
And that has the side button now.
Yeah, that's fire. I mean, I don't know what the side button's doing. It's just pulling up the camera?
No, well, but it's also visual AI. If you hold it and if you just press it, it's the camera. And then you can control the camera with it.
Oh, it's wonderful. That actually is pretty sick.
Yeah, it is pretty sick.
I love that for you. Congrats on the new phone.
I got some stripes.
Oh, that was kind of trippy. When you first held it up to me, it looked like it was moving. Whoa. It looked like, like when there's lines, like it looks like it's like wavy or something.
You stare at the picture and it's like, look away. And
Yeah. I love the pictures that are like, put this in your...
and it's like the words.
Like up your, like by your nose or whatever. So just by your nose and like look at it at an angle or whatever. Have you ever seen the ones where...
It's like you're an idiot or something like that?
No, it's like they're actually usually pretty inappropriate, but it's like put your speaker up to your mouth and like back in the day they had those ones where if you would go like wow, 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 wow with the speaker up to your mouth, it would like do something funny to the sound or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wow, that was really cool. So then like because you're used to that, there'd be one that's like put the speaker up to your mouth and like open and close your mouth or whatever, and then it snap to a picture of like something inappropriate. And you'd be like,
that's terrible.
It's really funny though. I don't know. I have juvenile humor, so it cracks me up every time, and then I send it to every dude I know.
Juveniles.
Get them too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Welcome back.
Welcome back
to another episode of the Grown Up Kids podcast.
Yeah.
And
Grown Up Kids.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Seth.
And we are brother and sister.
Yes.
And
this podcast is us just talking about things that are on our minds and our hearts.
Yep.
And
we just enjoy
can't lose
talking together.
Wait, what's that saying? What's that saying about full hearts, clear mind? Can't lose. Super cheesy.
I don't know what
Come
you're
on.
talking about.
It's like clear. It's like,
oh, are you saying clean hands, pure heart? That? I think that's from the Bible.
I don't think so, no.
No, I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, no, that's great. I'm not talking about that. I mean.
Okay.
I'm referring to a phrase that people use all the time, and it's always super cheesy, and I don't think anyone ever says it like seriously. I think it's always kind of ironic,
Oh, okay.
But it's like clear heads, pure hearts can't lose. Something like that.
I really don't know what you're talking about.
Nah, you got it. Come on. It's fine.
Come on.
It's fine.
Come on.
Somebody help me out here. Somebody's listening to this podcast episode right now. And what I mean right now is whenever you're listening to it, it's right now. And then there it went right then. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I want you to just right now, right then. How about right now? Just put a hand on your heart. Say, I got you, Seth. Because Jesse leaving me hanging big time.
Well, I just don't know what you're talking about.
Song of the week?
Yeah.
Let's friggin' go. You first or me first?
Doesn't matter.
All right. How about you first?
All right. Joe, DJO, came out with a new album. You already know this because I sent it to you.
Yeah, you did.
The song Back on You.
Sweet.
Such a good song. The whole album is really good. He's talking about his sisters too. Like I liked the song and then I listened to it again and I was like, what is he saying? And I listened and then I confirmed and went and looked at the lyrics. And he's literally talking about like why his sisters have made such a big impact on his life and
really
he's a better man because of them and stuff. And I was like, that's so sweet.
I wish I could say the same thing.
Okay, shut up. But I thought it was cool because it's like to be famous and to be big and like write music, I feel like but not that many people write in a positive way about their family.
It's interesting, yeah.
So I was kind of like,
it's really cool.
That's sweet.
It's awesome.
But it's also just a really great song. So
yeah, it will be. I didn't finish Wow. Okay, there we go.
Whoa.
I didn't finish the whole album.
It's
so
at
I
the
like
very
listening
end,
to it.
so that song.
Yeah.
It's like the second to last song.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't know who that is, it's Joe Keery. He's in Stranger Things as well. He plays,
which I haven't watched.
forget his name. Oh my gosh. Steve. He plays Steve.
Steve. That's like a name that you don't often hear associated with like a kid. Like when I think of Steve, I'm thinking of like a young adult or an adult. I know. But
which makes sense because our dad was a Steve in the 80s.
You're right. He was a Steve kid in the 80s. That's perfect. But
it's weird to think about our dad in high school. Like, oh my gosh, do you know Steve Rickard? Like, people would say that, and he was in high school.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to think about.
I mean, every dad has been in high school at some point. Think about that.
I know, it's just strange.
Oh, well.
It's weird to think they have like a whole life before us.
And there are stranger things to think about.
There are. But then it's weird to think there's a whole life before us. And then think about your kids. Your kids will feel the same way.
Yeah, they probably won't feel that way, though, because I'm a little bit more like, just like I'm a part of everyone. I'm a part of every age group all the time.
Yeah, but they're still going to be like, whoa.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What's your song of the week?
Yeah, oddly enough, one of my song. Whoa. What's happening?
My song.
My song of the week. It's called "The Green Superintendent" by Mako Road.
Okay.
And it's just on my Discover Weekly, and it was really good. I like the vibe and I like the tune, but then one of the lines, or a couple, I mean, like at least a verse of the song was kind of talking about like being old but not feeling old, which I thought like, hey,
fitting.
Yeah. And it was funny that we happened to just be talking about that just a second ago too. But yeah, so anyways.
Nice.
Yeah. And to be clear, I don't actually believe that I am old right now. It's just that, like, you know, the years are coming.
Older than you were before. So,
older than I was right then.
That's funny.
Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah.
Yeehaw, The Green Superintendent by Mako Road. They're Australian.
Wait, does it start with yeehaw?
No. The Green Superintendent.
Why'd you say
Mako.
Yeehaw?
Yeehaw. I was just a normal part of my vocabulary.
I thought it was Yeehaw, the Green Superintendent.
That would be really good, though. No, I looked up how do Australians say Mako so that I didn't say it wrong. AI told me that Australians pronounce it Mako. So I said Mako Road. If it's actually like Mako or Mako.
I think it is maybe Mako because there's a show called Mako Mermaids or something like that, and they're Australian. Isn't that true? I don't know if that's true.
Let's ask our listeners.
I might have just
Isn't that true?
I just made that up. No, but I think there is.
Well, okay, to be clear, let me just throw this out there.
I'm just laughing because, like, what if I just bald-faced lied? Like, wait,
he wasn't a president.
Bald-faced lied?
I don't think, yeah. Was he a president? Was he the president?
What's the word there? Bald-faced lie? Bull-faced lie?
I think it's ball-faced lied.
No, it can't be.
No, I think it's bald. I think it's bold-faced. But I don't actually know.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you imagine if I just like completely made up information out of my brain?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it before on the podcast. So like, what are we even talking about?
I might have just now.
Yeah.
We'll find out later. Anyway.
The Mako mermaids.
I do feel like that's a thing, though.
The Mako mermaids. Is that what you said? All right, let's move on.
Okay, yeah.
All right. How'd you get into photography and videography? How'd you get into your passion? How'd you get here? What's your journey? Like when you were going through life and you said, what am I passionate about? I can't figure this out. I don't know. And then you stumbled onto videography and you said, this is my passion.
Did I say that?
I like remember verbatim. I remember where we were. You said, but like, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. Like, yeah, how'd you get there? What's the journey? Take us on the journey. I'm so slap happy right now.
That's kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
It's just like, how'd you get to the things you're passionate
about?
Yeah, exactly. But also, I wouldn't say that's kind of like, oh, I want to do nothing else in life but photography.
Yeah.
And I really don't only do that either.
No, you don't.
But it is a good basis for basically all the other stuff.
100%.
But I think, well, taking it all the way back, it's like we just love story in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, at some point, loved the way that photos tell a story, I guess. I don't really know exactly like when that linked together, but I do remember at one point one of our friends having an iPod Touch and being, which this is crazy now with how far cameras have come in iPhones, but
Who?
I don't need to name them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, are you about to like blast them?
No.
Oh.
I just don't need to name them. But
Got it.
one of our friends had an iPod Touch, and I remember just being like, I would take a couple photos sometimes and then like mess with editing them on the like whatever app I used at the time.
Yeah.
And just being like, wow, like this is so cool, and saving up money to buy an iPod Touch eventually, which I did. And then I cracked the screen on the pavement, which sucked. But it's
crazy.
okay.
Wait,
but,
did you crack it on the pavement when you broke your leg?
No,
okay.
That was just my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which also, I still don't think we've told that story on the podcast.
I'm pretty sure.
Have we?
I swear it came up not that long ago.
I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, so I like got an iPod Touch, started taking pictures on it because I just was like, this is fun, this is cool. And then one of the girls in our church at the time was a professional wedding photographer, Dana. And I remember I was saving up to buy a camera, and I was kind of asking her like, oh, what like ones do you think I should get? Like what lenses do you think I should get? Blah, blah. And she was like, oh, like, wait, I'll show you on Sunday or whatever. And then I remember I got to church and her and her husband had bought me a kit. Do you not remember this?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, they had bought me like a super nice brand new
so cool.
Canon Rebel T3i.
Okay, no, now that you say like Canon, Rebel, all this, now I actually do remember this, as weird as that it was.
Yeah.
It like triggered for me. Okay.
Yep. And they bought me a camera, lens, like another really nice lens to go with it. She got me like a bag, memory cards, like all the stuff. And it was just
so
like
cool.
such a huge deal. Like I was just blown away because it was just so cool. So then that really started me off. Like I would make little videos for stuff at church. When we needed to film stuff for like the youth group, we would always use my camera.
Yeah, that's right.
And then like you would edit stuff, and I would always watch you do like Final Cut Pro and things like that and thought it was cool. And then I took the same class you took, the video production class at our high school, and learned to edit. I actually did before that. I did take a photography class in high school. I was just telling Caden this the other day. I remember when they taught me everything in the photography class. It just did not click with me. Like, I remember being so excited to learn everything. And then, like, I was in the class and I would have tests on the stuff that I now know, like the back of my hand, and not do super well. Like, I remember just being like, I couldn't put it together in that specific class. And then as soon as I had my own camera and I was just shooting on my own, it made so much sense, like, instantly.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of funny, like, when I was trying to be taught, it did not make sense. And then when I was on my own, I figured it out. But took that video production class. That was fun. And then my junior year of high school, before I went online, I did a advanced photography class, and that was really fun. I did a film photography class at one point too, which was really fun. And so I got to like go in the dark room, shoot film. I accidentally stole the camera from the high school too, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but
no way.
Yeah, because it was a film camera. And then I went online, and I remember I emailed my teacher like, hey, should I get this back to you? And he just never said anything. And so I was like, I mean, if you're not going to ask for me back,
your spam folder had like 14,000 emails from the teacher like, I need that camera.
But it was just like it's the same one I have again now. It's a Canon AE one, but it's a 35 millimeter film camera. And
do you still have the stolen one?
No, I actually gave it to one of my friends in California as a gift. Because I had it for like 6 years or something like that. Used it for a long time. And then
Celine High School. Get her.
Yeah. Someone in Maryland has your camera now. But, and then.
I was saying get her, like, get you, like, send the cops.
Yeah, I know, but now I'm going to redirect them because I don't have it.
Can't help you. They're like, yeah, we don't care. You're coming with us.
But yeah, and then I actually now since for Christmas, not this past year, but the year before, got another version of that same camera to replace the one that I gave away.
Nice.
Dang. But yeah, I took all those classes and then just like ended up loving it. Shot with the same girl that gave me the camera, Dana, then started assisting her at weddings. So I would just like go with her and her husband, or if she had a different second shooter, I'd just go with them, help with whatever. There was a few times where I actually did shoot. And then there was a few times where I started getting a video. And one summer, she just had me come to pretty much every wedding. And I did, like, as an add-on, I did a wedding video. And that's where I started, like, doing all the wedding videos and stuff and getting into that. Because we would make so many videos for the church that I was, like, getting good at editing and filming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then anytime I would travel anywhere, I was just like, oh, like, my camera's with me. I'll make a video.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'd go, anytime I went to Wisconsin, we went to Disney World. Like, I went to Florida and visited my friend Helen. I went on a cruise with our mom. Like, I would film the whole time. Like, it was just a fun part of pretty much any time we got to go anywhere. I was like, oh, and I get to film. Like,
yeah,
that was just a thing for a long time. And it was kind of in the era of, like, when travel vloggers were, like, really, like, travel diaries were really big. And so it was kind of like I got into it alongside of all these big people that were doing it. So I was kind of like following some of the trends, I guess, in that way. But then also I just like really enjoyed editing to music. Like I was like, I pick a song that I love and then like make a whole video. And then like we have all these memories of being on a trip. Like we have the Disney video from like when we went with Ben and Emily, our cousins and aunt and uncle, and
that was
Kiana was with you.
Right, was that right before?
It was right before you guys got engaged.
Yeah.
And it's like
a few weeks.
Like a month. We went in October.
October, you're right.
And it's like we have that whole video, and I have, when I lived with our aunt and uncle in Wisconsin, I have a ton of videos from like we went to Latvia when we went and adopted our cousin Erica. I have 2 Disney travel videos with them. I have like random little days that we went and did stuff. I just like happened to film and make a video and things like that. Now it's like I always shoot when we go to camp every year and like capture all that kind of stuff. I've done like a bunch of wedding videos for so many of our friends and like, I don't know, it's just really fun I love story and I love people and I love like movies. So getting to combine it all into I pretty much get to make my own little movie exactly how I want of what's happening before my eyes is like such a fun feeling. And I love editing. And then I guess you jump from there to like I went to film school, which was honestly a lot more just like practicals and the writing side of things than it was any of the stuff that I already knew. Actually, a lot of the like skill in terms of editing, color, filming, I honestly didn't like really learn there. I was kind of, and I don't mean this in a prideful way, but because it is more of just like a crash course program that I had. Whereas like I was definitely like one of the people that knew what was being taught versus like some people came in with no experience. Like most people didn't own a camera. Most people didn't film stuff. It was like they just like movies. They like film, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Where like I came in with everything, but I definitely wanted to learn more about like the screenwriting and the writing and the like production part of stuff, which I did. I do feel like I learned a lot of that. And I just like my relationship with God in terms of creativity, I feel like I learned a lot within that context, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think getting to that point is often about like I think I was telling Josie, my soon-to-be sister-in-law, this. I told her this at one point. Like I was like, take note of like the moments where you really feel, for lack of a better term, alive. But I know it's something deeper than that. Just like where you really feel like I feel like myself.
Yeah, like fulfilled. And free.
Yeah. Right. Because I think those are the moments where you like chase whatever that is.
Yeah.
I think obviously make sure it's something good and something
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because I remember when we were young, like, and our parents were pastors, I always said I wanted to be a kids pastor. Like that was
Yeah, I remember that.
I worked in the kids ministry and I was like, I'm gonna be a kids pastor. That's all I'm gonna do. And then it's not that I didn't like love that. I did, but I did quickly realize, like, you know what? I love kids. Like I was nanny for many years. I would like still do that, and kids love me, but
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily know that. Okay.
Sorry.
I don't know that like that job
Yeah.
is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I like I watched myself or experienced like certain moments with filming or making something being like, I love this. So then I just go after it. Which now it's like I'm kind of almost circling back to the beginning now in my life because I'm starting to like kind of do weddings and film things again because I took like quite a long time where I didn't really do much of that.
Yeah.
And
With school and whatnot.
yeah, and like I've had a lot of jobs that were more like practical. They're still in that vein, like a podcast production, editing, social media, like management, marketing stuff. And all of that I've really only gotten to do because I was into photography and film and all these things and
Yep.
went where I went in terms of school and stuff like that. But I'm kind of just circling back, honestly, because almost not even like of my own choice, which it is, but it's like I've like not lost in terms of gotten fired, but like got laid off from jobs in the past few months, pretty much everything, almost everything. Like at the same time, just all kind of was like, hey, sorry. I was like, cool. What do I do?
Yeah.
Which is fine because
Just
then
so you know, I don't want to fire you from this podcast. I think you're a vital part of it. I don't have any other siblings.
You don't want to fire me?
Yeah, I don't have any other siblings that I technically could do like a sibling podcast with. So you have a lot of job security here.
Yeah.
On this podcast.
Providing so much.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know.
No, as the
older
gives
one,
me so much peace.
As the older one, it is my call, and I wanted you to know I would never do that to you. So.
Yeah. It's your call.
I was like, is she gonna let that go, or is
I'll
she gonna
let
say
you
something?
think that. But yeah, like a bunch just kind of ended recently in the last like 4 months or 3 months. And so then, and even before it ended, it was already like the ball was rolling on filming more weddings, doing more like video, photo work. Caden and I starting the cafe business. It's like all this stuff. And so it actually really worked out. And also, once again, an opportunity to trust the Lord and grow closer and know him more and know what he thinks about me, which is always a good thing. Definitely uncomfortable in moments.
For sure.
Because you face the fear of like, oh, will we have enough money? Oh, blah, 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 like that kind of stuff. But then all those things end up ultimately, I get in a place where I'm like, I have the time to be creative. And the Lord cares about me so much that the time I'm spending in creativity that's like so restful and peaceful right now, ultimately, he's going to turn that into something that also provides.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing is like as a perfect father, like he's not like, okay, well, you either do what you're passionate about and you live in lack, or you do something that you really can't stand, you're not a big fan of.
Yeah.
But like, hey, you have more than enough. And it's like, all right, as my children, like you choose one or the other and you live with that. Like as a perfect father, like his will for us is to live in abundance. And what I mean by abundance is to have more than enough.
Yeah.
And so, and there's other scripture too that points like his heart as a father. So like blessed to be a blessing, you know? And so I think that's really cool. Like to be able to take time and do something that, you know, like you're passionate about and it lines up with just kind of the direction of your life, and like the Lord just being like, yep, sweet, I'm gonna bring things to you where you do also make money, and then you get to live in the abundance that I have for you as well.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really good.
Yeah. all that stuff kind of happened. And I will say I've actually been talking to our friend Cara about this recently, but there's a few, like a group of people I know where I've watched them try to endeavor to do stuff creatively and expect provision and stuff like that, but almost pinhole it into like, I can't have a job and I have to do this so that God can like miraculously work through these things. And has almost like, yeah, I want to say this carefully because I don't mean this in a judgmental way. It's more just like I think this is my observation in what I've seen is that sometimes some people who really do believe God is so good and believe in his provision and stuff like that get so far in the camp of like, I can't have anything traditional and practical because I need to just watch God show up in this like spiritual way.
Yeah.
That then they think that he can't work in a normal job or a normal income or like a 9 to 5 or something like that. And I think I've hit a really good point in the middle of those things of knowing that like if I have a normal job, which I did, like God absolutely works through that and I still get to do a ton of creative stuff. And it's a beautiful thing to have a normal job that isn't necessarily ministry and make money.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
And that like not being in ministry or not being in this like ultra spiritual, like God providing for you place does not mean anything less about your relationship with the Lord or your trust in him. And like all the jobs that I've had that have given me a lot of money are something that has come from the Lord. Like, and he works through those things, even if it doesn't really have anything to do with him on a, like a practical level. Like the work I'm doing isn't like biblical studies or like, you know, something like that.
Right.
Or like youth ministry or something. But then also it's totally okay to be in a position where you don't have a normal job and it feels a little like, like, am I wasting time? Am I doing the right thing? And just trusting the Lord is going to use whatever I am doing in the time for a specific purpose and to like create something really beautiful and or to just like spend time with me, and that is also just as important to him, and he will figure out the provision side of it and stuff. Because it's like Caden right now paints, like he paints houses, interiors, exteriors, and like does a really, really great job. And neither of us, I don't like, obviously one day we would hope that he would be doing something else, but also we both kind of are just like, it's a great job.
Yeah.
It's pays really well. He's really good at it. He gets to just kind of like go in, do his own thing, get work done and leave. And it's not like really emotional. It's not like you're taking like work home with you.
Yeah.
And it's not like unstable. It's very stable, like super dependable. Like all these things. Am I right?
And this is silly, but it's kind of true. Or it could be like also like a cool thing. Doesn't he get to just like pop headphones in and listen to whatever?
Yeah, like he literally just listens to books, music, movies, like all day while he paints.
Grown-up kids.
Sermons. Yeah, grown-up kids. It's usually like his Monday thing because it comes out on Sunday. And that kind of stuff. And then it's like he gets to work on music stuff outside of work.
Yeah.
And like do different things outside of that. And I don't think any of that's bad. I don't think that means he's like less spiritual or less in tune with like the calling on his life or something. I think it actually like paves a way for all of those things to be able to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And like for us to be able to get married and have kids and like all of these things. And I think sometimes people get stuck in the like, oh, my calling must mean that it's something that isn't like financially proficient, or it has to be tied to ministry or something really spiritual or something that doesn't make money or whatever. And it's like, it can be both. And if you're going to limit God to only one way, like you're actually going to miss a huge chunk of what he has for you, which I think is like, I've landed in a good spot in the middle of just being like, whatever you want to give me, like I'm down for it. And like, I know that I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Whether that's I don't have a job or I have like these little like I do some weddings here and there, or whether it's like I have a 9 to 5. Like either way, I'm going to be happy.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah. But like in terms of youth ministry, because you are in the camp of you work a job that's in ministry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it also is very practical because it's like your full-time income and your job and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel like practically you got there, and then how do you feel like it came about in terms of passion?
Oh, yeah. So I think just growing up in our household, and I know you know this, but I think we were in and around church and ministry so much, and I saw just so much of the joy that comes from it and the excitement and connecting to people and spending time with them and being in their lives and a part of their lives. I remember multiple times Dad, like I would be with Dad, and I don't remember if it was like all of us or just me and him or what. I don't remember how it went, but I remember numerous moments where like he would stop and visit somebody that, is going through a hard time or a rough time, and or like visit someone at a hospital or or even just like stay after church to meet with someone and talk with them. And I wouldn't be a part of that conversation, but like I'd be at the church and I just remember feeling so like none of that stuff bothered me, and quite the opposite. I think all that stuff kind of felt really meaningful and exciting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, as like from a pretty young age, being around that and experiencing that, I said like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I want to do this with my life.
Yeah.
And I think those questions always existed in my mind, of like, does that mean I'll not make money? Does it mean I'll be kind of like a poor person in my bank account, but like rich in spirit? I was like, I don't know,
it's okay
but
to be both.
But yeah, those questions kind of existed maybe in the back of my mind, but I didn't really think anything of it. And
yeah,
it was just observing, and saying like, yeah, I could do this. Yeah, I want to do this. And so I felt like when I was 12 years old, I actually felt like I did have that calling on my life. I was in a worship service at a conference, and I felt
which
like
conference?
It was Winter Bible Seminar at Rhema.
Oh, whoa, really?
Mm-hmm. When I was 12. And I felt like, I think I was 12 at the time. I'm pretty sure. Maybe 11. Point is, I felt it was this like time where the wife, the pastor's wife.
Lynette?
Yeah. I don't know if she technically has the title of pastor or not. Probably. But she was on the stage talking, and she said something like, ask God what he's saying to you right now about like your future. Like, what does he want to do in your future? And it was one of the first moments in my life where I like actually did that. And I was like, all right, like, let's see what happens. Like, all right, God, like, what do you have for my future? Like, what are you maybe like calling me to or putting on my heart or whatever?
Yeah.
And I felt like he said, like, I'm calling you to ministry. I didn't know what that looked like at the time. I was 11, 12 years old. I was like drumming, and I was drumming in our worship team, and I was really passionate about that. So I was like, oh yeah, someday I'm going to be in worship, and just kind of putting my own spin on it. I got a little older and realized like maybe it is youth ministry or children's ministry or something like that. And I really never had a definition for it, to be perfectly honest. I just said like, I know my heart's in this, and I know that like God will kind of show me the rest. Like, I'm not really worried about figuring out every detail.
Yeah.
I didn't know where that would be, when it would be, and what it would be. But I kind of knew like the quote unquote like industry or like the career path that like I knew was on my heart. So like when I met Kiana and we were talking and getting more serious and stuff, like I remember telling her like, I'm not doing it yet, and I don't know when it'll start, but like I am called to ministry. I've known that for a long time. So like, just so you know, from a work perspective and whatever, like where God leads us to be and like we feel connected, like that's kind of where we're going. And I remember her being like, I'm on board, like let's get that. So I spent from the time I was 17 or 18 when I took my first job all the way until I was 25 when I actually started in my position that I'm in now.
Wow, you were 25 when you started?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy because that's all night.
Yeah, I know. 5 years is like,
Wait,
it's felt
that's
like a
so
long
weird.
time, but it's also felt like no time at all.
Yeah.
It's weird. But from 18 to 25, 17 to 25, graduating high school and like starting to work, I think I've counted it up before, I don't remember, but I think it's like 23, 24, 25 different jobs in that
you've had
time
a
span.
lot of jobs.
And I remember at the time, I actually felt really like I don't have that strong of a relationship with God. I don't know if I even care to have that strong of a relationship with God. I think there were aspects of Christianity that I was like all in. Like I remember when I was 19, I kind of was like, all right, I'm all in on from a relational level, but then I still was not actually like kind of returned to that mindset of the 12, 13-year-old me, 14-year-old me that was like, I'm going to be in ministry with my life. And so I actually kind of had a period of time there. I was like, yeah, I'm not cut out for that. I'm never going to know enough. I'm never going to be like spiritual enough or like be good enough at speaking or teaching or pastoring people. Like I love God, but I'm not like in love with him enough, or whatever. So
which we know now is bogus.
Right. For sure. But at the time, this was just
100%.
Yeah. So it's like, I was just like, okay, I'm really passionate about real estate. I was not passionate about real estate at all. And really, I just knew that like, if you got successful in real estate, you can make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So I basically took job after job after job that was just sales in general. Like if I'm selling something, let's get it.
Yeah.
That's how you make good
You worked
money.
at the bank for a long time too.
I worked at a bank to try to become eventually the path was to become like a mortgage banker and do like loans.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was the whole reason I went there.
Oh.
And like I was totally on that path.
Were you a teller?
Yeah, I started as a teller, and within a couple months they made me the vault teller. So I was in charge of all the money in the bank. And then I was having these meetings with one of the mortgage bankers in our branch because she was kind of she like recognized that I was really like good with people and solid at the job or whatever. So she was like, hey, like I want to train you up and you can take my book of business. I'm retiring in a couple of years. So it was just going to be this slow burn. And I was like totally going to see that through. And then one day I was just like, hey, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can't do this. I hate this. So
I didn't realize that.
So yeah,
I probably would have just been too. I was in high school at the time or middle school, like end of middle school. So
I don't think I really talked about this stuff because I think the other side of it is I felt a lot of shame and guilt. Shame, not guilt, because it wasn't wrong. But I felt a lot of shame about jumping from job to job, not being in ministry, knowing that like when I was young, I felt this calling, but now it's like I don't have a relationship with God where I actually could like fulfill that calling. Therefore, I got to find something else. I think I felt a lot of shame about it. So I just didn't really talk about like, what's my plan for the future? Like I just didn't talk about it. Like it's easier to shy away from those conversations and not commit to something. When I was in high school, I had a lot of, everybody around me was going to college and I just felt like, and I talked about this once before, I think on the podcast, but I just had a chip on my shoulder. Like I'm going to be successful and I'm going to live life and I'm going to have a great life. And I am not going to need a degree and I'm not going to need, to go to college. Like I just feel really passionate about that. I had friends tell me, said if you don't go to college, you will literally never be successful. Like you have to go to college. And obviously like they were just talking out of like, just nonsense, like they were just regurgitating probably more intensely things that they've heard other people say about it's more likely that you'll be successful, whatever.
Yeah.
But I just had this chip on my shoulder, like I'm going to do it all without college and without a degree and I'm going to love that. Like it's going to be sick. And then also there was part of me that was like, and then I'm going to throw it in their faces that I did this without a degree, which that's so silly. Like there's no point in that. But
don't need a degree to have a podcast.
Yeah. Where are you at now? So I think it was just kind of a passion that was always there. And I kind of tried to shy away from it out of shame or in this case, guilt that I wasn't like pursuing a relationship with God at maybe the intensity or level that I assumed you needed to have in order to eventually do ministry. And then I've battled for a long time. Like, I'm never going to live up to my potential. Like, I'm never going to have the impact in the world that I'm supposed to have I had gotten some prophecies when I was really young, like, you're going to be really influential in a lot of people's lives. And there was some more specific stuff that honestly, low-key, those prophecies kind of scared me in the sense of like, now I felt all this pressure, which
Yeah, like, you
that's
have
not
to,
the
like
point of prophecy.
Right.
So
Almost as if, like, you just had to make it happen or something.
yeah, and so I think that was all like me and not knowing how to deal with like resting in something like a prophecy.
Yeah,
And
that,
and
like,
for
it'll
me it
just
was
come to
more
pass.
like okay, crap, like now I have like these people spoke this over me, and that was like God speaking through them over me. And so now like this is his expectation of me, and now if I don't do this, like I'm fricked, and like I'm
Yeah.
gonna feel like an idiot, and people are gonna look at me and be like, wow, he really wasted his life, you know. So I really battled some of those thoughts and intense stuff there. And it was always like calling, but also like make money. Like both of those things seem like the definitions of success, but then I never saw those things as like running together.
Yeah.
So I just went job to job, and you know, then I'm married and we're starting to have kids, and I still know like I even before marriage and then into marriage, I was getting job offers at churches, and I was getting like opportunities to step into ministry and kind of like start to fulfill that calling that I've had since I was young. And every time it just felt like, this is like, I'm not supposed to say yes to this. Like, it's really tough. Uh, and so I was just like, and I said no, and I didn't have a problem saying no, but then I had a problem with, and I didn't do whatever job I had at that time to make money and support Kiana and then Maisie and Jude and whatnot. Like I wasn't, well, I guess once we had Jude, I was already at the church. But point is like, I wasn't doing any of those things then with like joy and excitement.
Yeah.
So I think the whole journey for me was like knowing, but then battling like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So I'll just do this instead until I'm ready. Or I'll just do this instead and I'll do this to the level that I would have done this. And like, that'll probably be okay with God, or that'll probably be okay with the people around me or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think like practically it just became like, try to make more money. Like if you make more money, or if you do something that's like better than the thing before it, then that'll be like fulfilling enough, you know, or that'll be like, you'll eventually get to that one where you stick, and then it'll be great, and you'll make a bunch of money, and you'll move up the ranks, and yada yada. So sorry. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting, like that whole journey.
Yeah.
And so I was at a job selling epoxy flooring, which was I was really passionate about epoxy flooring, and it's like when you mix part A and part B, and then you only have that certain amount of time to like get the product onto the floor. Like that was one of just the most invigorating ideas I've ever heard. I was just so excited. This is sarcasm. So I was selling epoxy flooring for a company, and that company sucked. Like it was run like a joke, and I worked in a garage all winter, and it was cold as frick, and the bosses literally lied to me about what they would pay me. Yeah, like when I signed the stuff to like work the job, it was like, here's the pay structure, here's the schedule. And then day one of the job, oh, we changed the pay structure. Oh, we changed the schedule.
No way.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. So it was like, it was actually, I mean, I feel like it was pretty illegal, but it was not, and I could be wrong. Like maybe they just have all the authority to do that, but like the Better Business Bureau. Yeah. I've threatened that many times in my life. I'm going to report you to the Better Business Bureau. No, I'm just kidding. I did that one time. And then I never did again because I was like, this is too much work.
Wait, you reported?
Not like an employer, but like a company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you can. That's your power as a customer. Total side note. If a business fricks you over.
I'm so curious. What business now?
I don't actually remember. I've been wronged by so many businesses as a customer, and
wow.
But
I've been wronged by so many businesses.
No, but like, okay, Kiana and I paid these guys to like do our patio in our backyard, and they said if they jack up our grass, moving all their stuff into our backyard, like all the like machines.
Yeah.
If they jack up our grass, they'll give us new grass. They'll put sod down. They'll level it out. All this stuff.
Okay.
They do the patio. Patio's beautiful. They jack up all the grass around the back of the house to the front. Yeah. And they never came back to do it. And I called them numerous times. They would ignore my calls. I called them from a different number, and they answered. And I said, hey, this is Seth Rickard. Like, you need to come back to my house and finish a job. This is what I signed on the contract. And the guy laughed at me and said, yeah, we're not doing that. It's like on the signed contract. Like, what are you talking about, bro? So I don't think I ever reported them to the Better Business Bureau, but I should have. Like,
yeah, you should have.
You're liars.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not all contractors are liars, but not all contractors are truthers either. So
I wish I heard more good contractors. But
I wish
feel
I did too.
So many contractors, even from like our aunt and uncle, that like people that they work with.
Yeah,
they're still like, yeah, they screwed us over.
Yeah,
or they screwed our friends over after we used them or something. And it's like,
no, it's literally it's way too common. It's actually ridiculous.
Almost like, I guess I should just become a contractor and be like the one good one that everybody hires.
I know contractors that are like Christians, they're believers, they're wonderful people, they're good friends, and I still know some of those people that have totally screwed over others, and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand.
Wasn't our grandpa a contractor?
Yeah. Well,
or was he a carpenter?
Oh, he probably did some stuff like that. But
he's
anyways,
just like Jesus. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a total side note. So,
sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah. Basically, Better Business Bureau. Where was I?
You were working at that epoxy flooring job.
I worked at this epoxy flooring job, and we were at our church that we're at now, and yeah, they basically offered me the job and to become the assistant youth pastor.
When I was an intern.
Yeah, it was while you were an intern.
We worked together.
And they offered me the job, and I was making, I'll just be really transparent with the numbers. I don't know why not, but I was making like $50,000 and married with one kid, living in we were in a condo, so we owned it, and our payment was like crazy cheap. Like, I think we paid probably $850 a month.
Whoa.
Like, it was really cheap.
That's crazy.
I mean, we own our house now, and our monthly payment's like $950. It's amazing.
Whoa.
No, I know.
That's so nice.
This is why it's so hard to sell our home and buy a new one, because our payment
oh, wait, that's actually crazy.
Through the roof.
Through the roof.
So anyways, we're sitting in our condo contemplating this offer. We were making like $50,000 at this job that I hated, and they sucked and they lied, but like, it's money. And then they offered me the job to be the assistant youth pastor full time, and that was going to be for like $38,000 a year. And it was like, we can't even technically pay like all of our bills and do all of our life at $38,000 a year. Like, the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah.
Because that's like before tax or whatever. But so we're like, yeah, this, like, we can't say yes to this. But it was because of that, like, calling and maybe just all of the practical things that I had done that I really like learned through.
Yeah.
And all the times that I kind of out of fear or out of pride, because I didn't want to like look like a loser to other people. Out of fear or pride, I took jobs, and it was more money, but I continued to be miserable while doing that stuff or whatever. And we knelt by the bedside in our condo, and both Kiana and I were like crying, but it wasn't like we were just sitting there like, like, it was just like kind of like tearing up and just being like, it's like we felt really scared while also feeling like we gotta do this. It was really silly, but it was really intense.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're saying yes to this. We have no idea how we're going to say yes to this or how this is going to look. In those first couple of years, like, I got like little raises, and then I became the lead youth pastor. And so that came with a little raise too. And so this is getting really transparent. I don't know if technically, legally, I'm supposed to talk about this stuff. It's probably not a big deal.
Then don't say. If you don't know, just don't say it.
It's not a big deal. I don't care.
No, Seth.
No.
Make my life easier.
No. What I'm saying is, like, I don't think, and it doesn't matter. I can talk about what I make. I just mean, legally, it's fine. I just think, like, is it weird? I don't know. I don't really care. I was up to the point where I was making like $45,000 a year.
Okay.
And it was funny because it was around the time, it was like 2 years ago. And it was around the time where I was pretty sure, like, I'm going to quit. I'm definitely going to quit within like the next year or two. I would quit this week if I found a new job.
This was you 2 years ago, to be clear.
2 years ago, right now. Maybe more like 2.5 years ago. Like 2.5 to 2 years ago. So this lasted over a few months. And I was just like, yeah, like, this isn't it. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. It was a good run, and I tried to do the ministry thing, but like, I'm not cut out for it, and it's not doing enough financially. So whatever. So I was looking at jobs and this and that. What's crazy is like all of a sudden.
You always do that when you start. You always have to laugh. It's like, just say the sentence. I keep going.
I just can't do it. What's crazy is like all of a sudden I felt like this overwhelming excitement. I mean, it was like supernatural. Like I cannot explain it. It was like, wait, I was made for this. Wait, I love this.
Yeah.
Wait, I really like, there's no way I could leave this anytime soon anyways.
Yeah.
And have that be the right thing or the good thing. And it was like, I'm in this. What is life? And it was just crazy because
what is life?
It was crazy because I had gone like maybe 5 or 6 months of just feeling so, I would say, kind of like dejected. And
yeah, I remember being in California and talking to you, and you were kind of like, "Yeah, I think I might be done."
Yeah, just felt really like dejected. Maybe like, yeah, I don't even know what I'm accomplishing. Like, you know, like you're supposed to be this influence in these young people's lives, and like I'm not doing that. Like I'm missing the mark on that, and I'm not making more money where it feels worth it on that personal level from a financial perspective or whatever. And it just was like this really like, I'm done. So it like, I did the job, but I did it, you know, like that phrase of like half butting it. I just did the job like that for a while. That sounds weird. But I did the job like that for a while, to be honest. And I mean, every day I would like look at like job listings for other things. And it's like, okay, like maybe I'm jumping back into sales. Like I suck at it and I've tried 19 different sales jobs, but like, yeah, maybe the 20th will be the one, you know, like whatever. So
20th's the charm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the same, right?
The third wasn't the charm, or the fourth, or the fifth, or the sixth. So, no, so I did the job. So, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I felt like I was doing the job pretty poorly for a time. And it was just because of that, like, lack of belief and lack of like thinking I was going to be there. I buckle in. It was like February, March of 2023. I buckle in. This supernatural just belief and excitement hit me. And I said like, nah, let's go, dog. Like, we're fine. This is going to be sick. And that was right around the time that from a practical perspective, like Hannah became more involved. And I also think just like my relationship with Sam, one of my coworkers, or one of the guys that helps with youth, Sam, and even Matt really like went to another level too. So I basically, from there on, I buckled in. And what's crazy is we took a group of our interns on this trip. We came back from the trip and it was crazy. It was to the Bold conference. It was in Kansas City.
First year or this last year?
First year. Oh. First year, 2023. So this is the end of June. So this is only like 3 months after I was like, nope, like we're in this. Let's go. Yeah. Full throttle. This is my life. This is so joyful.
Yeah.
Forget what I was thinking before. Let's get it. 3 months later, we go to this Bold conference. The number of things that we saw God do was crazy. The number of just like miracles, like actual miracles, physical miracles, healings, testimonies of like God stepping in and just like saving. Like we had one student just like totally saved from a terrible situation. So sick. And we get back from the trip. Like the car ride from Kansas City back to Michigan alone was insane. Like our whole car was like worshiping, crying. It was crazy. This whole spiritual encounter. I really became like an older brother to one of the guys on that trip that like to this day, like he's my friend now because he's graduated, but like I'm so close with him.
Yeah.
And I continue to kind of be like that older friend, older brother to him. And that all started on the trip. Just so many things. We get back to the church. It's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. maybe. And we get back to the church and I walk into my office, but I wasn't even going to go in there. So it's just hilarious that I went in there that night and saw it that night. But I walk into my office, there's an envelope on my desk. I open the envelope and it's a letter or like a letter, I guess, from my boss, the head honcho. And he said, hey, like we met with the board and the board and just like we all decided like you were making way too little, like for the role that you're in and how much you do, like you were making way too little.
Wow.
And I got a raise. It's crazy. I could still even just cry thinking about it. I got a raise that was $15,000.
Whoa.
No, it was insane. So I went from making 45 to 60.
Wow.
Literally overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
In terms of
No, it literally.
And
that's wild.
No, it was nuts. And I just remember thinking like, okay, like I see how the provision of God works. And like I already knew that, but it was just really wild. And it was like, okay, I'm going to do the thing that I'm passionate about. And even though I had years of like feeling shame or feeling guilt or feeling like not enough, feeling like that'll never work, then I was in it and I still got to a point where I'm not enough. It's not going to work. But I just was faithful. And like I listened to God and said, okay, like let's buckle in, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And to experience them what I experienced with like that raise, I cried. I cried when I got it. I had to like figure it out because then I need to go back outside. We still had like a bunch of our leaders. We needed to like drop people off and whatnot. And so I was like an hour from home when I dropped off the last person. And I had like an hour drive home. In the entire hour-long drive home, I had like had worship music on and I was like singing worship music at I think the top of my lungs. Like I don't think I could have sang it louder while crying the whole time.
Even after that trip, I remember you called me and told me about it. I don't think it was that day. It might have been like a few days later or something. And even when you told me on the phone, you were crying just talking about it.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you told me about the race because I don't even feel like I remember knowing about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like one of those things where it's like one of those things you don't usually talk about, like money or like specifics of like this is how much a raise was. But I do think like something about the story of how much the raise was and just like how significant of a jump it was for me. Like I don't really care if people know the details, I guess, because it was just such an answer to prayer. Like we had been talking the week before I left. We were like, all right, God, like we really do need you to do something here. Like we really do need that. And like, we know you have an answer. Maybe it's something that we do on the side with some of our extra free time or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, God, you're really good. You're going to show us. We're patient. We love you. Like, it's all good.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
That is
to
crazy.
then come back and get that raise. I got home and I was just like, I think I went right to bed. But in the morning, I was like telling Kiana and I was like, I like could barely get the words. I was like, we got a $15,000 raise. Like, that's insane. It was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. So
that'd be a wild feeling, wild thing to be able to tell your spouse.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. So anyways, I just think like
that is cool.
The journey to finding what you're passionate about, like a lot of times I think is a lot more simple. And I think actually what happens throughout life, and in my experience, I should say, not everybody, but a lot of things that the devil tried to bring my way or throw my way that convinced me to try to run from it or be fearful of it. And actually then through all those different jobs where I was kind of running away from my, like the thing I felt called to, I was doing all these different jobs. You know what's really cool? I can pretty much tell you every job I worked, and I've done this in different conversations. I'm not just saying this. I can tell you every job I've worked, what I totally learned and grew in at that job. And I have 20-something different jobs to basically
honestly
go through with that stuff. So
I would say the same thing between the things that I've done, and it's not as many, but like between many different nanny jobs or like jobs with kids, and then like I worked at a yoga studio, and then different like podcast jobs, social media jobs, marketing jobs, stuff like that. I feel like there's other things I'm forgetting. Cafe. I worked at a grocery store for like 2 weeks one time. Hated that. That's why I was on there for 2 weeks. But just like all the random things, you learn something from every single one of them for sure. And they all end up like feeding into something else. Yeah.
And I think what I was so concerned with in the beginning was like, what will other people think if I don't make enough money? What will other people think if I do something that doesn't seem significant to them? And like, I don't know.
Doesn't really matter.
People might not get it.
They probably don't think what they're doing is significant to you either. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think everybody's way more thinking about themselves in their own head than we ever actually think. Not that that's a good thing or a reason to not, but it's just like the reality of it is like, I think people are thinking about us a lot less than we think they are.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's just a lie of the enemy to try to get you to you know, live in so much fear that
Right.
you don't do the thing that would be best for you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the crazy part is like, yeah, throughout all of it, like, I just look back on all the different jobs that I had, and like I joke, even well, I shouldn't say the name of the company, even the epoxy flooring company,
Yeah. No name dropping.
even the epoxy flooring company that I worked for. When I think about going to work, I remember how much I laughed sitting in that cold frickin' garage where they lied to me about my pay and my hours.
The fact they were in a garage, it's
It
like,
was
what the
so
heck?
irritating. It was a big building. It was like an industrial building.
Oh.
It was not like
Like a
someone's garage.
warehouse?
It's like a warehouse, and it had a garage door. And
Oh.
like you could have put the
A
salespeople in any
sweatshop.
room in the building, but you put us right there by the garage door, and it's like this is a Michigan winter, guys. This is a Michigan. Why are we
Is it
by a
heated?
garage door? Well, it was heated, but like
But you're by a garage door.
you can't take off your winter coat or else you gonna freeze.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
That is
It was
wild.
also a really cold winter and like one of those ones just a few years ago. But I think about that job, and I always talk about like that job, and there's so many funny stories of things that went wrong there and things that pissed me off there. But when I think of the job, I actually do think about like sitting there with some of those coworkers, and we would laugh together like all the time. In fact, we used to laugh together so much our boss would come out and be like, "Are you guys getting things done?
In my head,
You're laughing a lot."
this job,
yeah.
I picture when Michael Scott goes to his second sales job while he's dating Jan. That's what I picture in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that was like in a big,
Yeah,
like
but
a
like
dark, dingy room with cubicles.
that
But
vibe is what I picture.
yeah, I guess, like in a sense, I don't know. It was just funny. Like, I don't know. It's every job that I've had, even if I learned nothing in the job itself,
You
I
learned
learned something
something,
about
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And it was the people that I work with, whatever. And it's just like, I look back at pretty much every job I've done, and I actually remember each job with some really fond memories and like joyful things.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important too, is like, is your perspective filled with like misery and frustration, or is it, like let the Lord renew even your memories, and let the Lord renew just the way that you think about certain situations and people, to where like you see the gold from those moments and those folks. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
Very
Cool.
good.
Well, cool,
Nice.
cool.
Well, I think that's a good spot to end.
Yeah, probably.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, hope you got something from it. We'll see you next week. Bye.